Welcome to the Business Services Café by ABSL, powered by Brandfizz. My name is Anita Zvezdovics, and I will be your host for this recharging episode. We are here to bring the thriving business services sector closer to you with freshly brewed insights from the most influential leaders of the industry, also some espresso shots, and also some sip and think advices for takeaway. So in each episode we sit down with the most influential leaders, so as today, with very inspiring topics. And let me introduce you today's guests. Our guests today are Eszter Lukács, who is the GBS Advisory and Finance Transformation Director at Deloitte.
Thank you, Anita, for having me.
And István, Lenk, who is the President of ABSL Hungary.
Hello, everyone.
Very warm welcome. And we are starting with the topic, which is the state of the business services in Hungary. Grab your favorite coffee, settle in, as we are blending the experts' insights in this inspiring conversation. Let us start about your cooperation with some very quick questions. I think the two of you are having some coffee meetings together, and let us get to know that what are the topics that you, when you are having a coffee meeting, you are covering together.
I feel really lucky because we have a very good cooperation with ABSL and a very thriving one, because we always have new topics to come up, like roundtables, business breakfasts, and there is always a new topic to discuss with the GBS community. So when we are having a coffee, there are always newer and newer ideas which are sprung up, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's very motivating and inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and we always talk about the state of business services. So how does it look like today? What are the trends? And also the topic what we are talking about today, the state of business services in Hungary, which is not only a product but also an approach and a trend line, is coming from such of a discussion.
Yeah, so you had a coffee meeting, you had an idea which is looking into the future, and today we are talking about the product, the outcome already. And what are the barista level skills of this cooperation? So why is this cooperation working so well?
Deloitte is a well-known multinational company with a lot of expertise worldwide. And this is something combined with ABSL knowledge, and what we represent is something where we can believe we can create value to the community.
Yeah, I completely agree. We have always newer and newer global business services, insights, eminence that are really interesting for GBS leaders here in Hungary as well. So that's what we would like to share with the whole community.
Yeah.
And that's actually, ABSL is helping us with reaching as many enterprises as possible.
Yeah, and it's like the great knowledge and the great network somehow, and the reach out, it's combined together. So that's indeed extraordinary. So you told us about how the idea came over a coffee, and what motivated that you made this joint research between ABSL Hungary and Deloitte. What you hoped that you will uncover about the Hungary's BSC landscape?
Well, ABSL is representing the sector in Hungary, but not only in Hungary, in an international community and environment. And this is really important for us to show a good and support a good sector branding, create awareness about the sector within Hungary and also outside Hungary, just to show a really good cooperation with investors, and also show what good looks like in the business services to potential future colleagues, talents, but also share the best practices between the companies and the sector stakeholders.
And adding to that, in Hungary I'm very frequently involved in location selection. And in the past 2 years, I have seen that there is a lower interest, which might be for several reasons, because of the economic environment and the geopolitical environment and so on. Nevertheless, we strongly believe that this trend could be turned with a more thorough look and a deeper cooperation between the industry and the government, and also the educational system. So therefore we wanted to show actually the added value of this sector to the Hungarian economy, to the Hungarian workforce, and also we wanted to demonstrate the key challenges and made some recommendations how we believe that this sector could further be developed and supported to grow.
There was a very strong business need as well in the past years. If you had to describe the state of the Hungarian business services sector in one word or one phrase, one sentence, based on what you uncovered, what would be it and why?
So for me, it would be openness. So the sector is really open to not only to investors, new investors, existing ones, but also it's a good combination of competitiveness, growth, and transformation. These three is always part of the game. It was always part of the game in the past 20 years, but now it's changing. The existing shared services and business services, how we call, they are moving towards the value-add activities, bringing more value-add, knowledge-intense business service activities. And this is really about the transformation. And more such activities we can bring in, the higher competitiveness we can create, while the growth is really about the transformation about the existing roles towards these new roles.
My word would be potential. I strongly believe that there is still a high potential in the growth of this sector, and not only the growth, but the further sophistication of this sector. We can see globally and in EMEA that these large multinationals are constantly growing and developing their GBS ecosystems. And they are not only using these ecosystems now only for transactional support services, but much more these are becoming orchestrators.
So potential, openness. And let us go into the insights, and starting with the big picture. So the report highlights that Hungary's business services sector now employs over 100,000 people and contributes to around 3% of the GDP. How significant is this for the Hungary's economy, and how this is also influencing Hungary's global competitiveness?
So this is, if you look at the GDP value add, 3% or 4%, this is something we are about to measure closer in the future and create a much better shape and a better number to show it on the right way. But if you look at this number, over 110, 20,000 people, they are essentially related to the business services. So mainly multinational companies, people who work there. But if you look at the new approach, which is the ABSL, overall ABSL approach, how we are looking at those activities that all relate to the administrative function. What is everything which is non-manufacture type of activities, except the public sector. So in Hungary, if we count that, this number could easily come closer to 200,000 and in between 300,000 people, because it contains all the centralized services doing exactly the same activities what business services do, and then the related percentage of the GDP for the GDP can go up to double-digit number. So this can be a more significant, and by the way, ABSL overall describes this in 17 and very soon 22 different countries, ABSL countries, the same way. because the higher this number is, the bigger impact on the different economy, and especially in the European economy, ABSL and the business services sector itself can have. So this is really a big number. And coming back to Hungary, these companies, we are here for about 20 years. The journey started 20 years ago. And we were growing significantly up to that level. We'll continue. But as I said, this growth is turning now a bit, transforming to the value add type of activities, which means the growth will continue, but the speed of the growth is not so high than it was before, via transformation of the new skills, new capabilities, new activities is really the agenda of the leaders of the companies, decision makers, and not only them, but also for investors. This is really a topic. And knowing that this is 100% white economy, we are paying taxes. We are paying all the taxes, right? So that's really important. We keep employees for a long run. This is having a huge, even bigger impact to the Hungarian economy.
Just to add to that, the sector pays a wage premium to their employees, which actually contributes to the well-being of the workforce in Hungary. The other thing is that in line with higher value-add activities coming in, these business services organizations are investing very heavily into training and educating their employees. And they are bringing in good practices from their global ecosystem, state-of-art solution, digitization, and so on, which actually contributes to Hungary to be a more knowledge-intensive country. And thus, it contributes to the resilience of Hungary, because we know that knowledge-intensive industries are much more resilient to technological or economic change than less knowledge-intensive sectors. So I think it's a really important added value that it supports Hungary to keep its competitiveness, actually.
The future resilience as well. And evolving from the cost-driven kind of delivery hub to more, as you are both mentioning, to more innovation, digital capability centrum. What are the key drivers behind this transformation?
It's very important to mention that is actually in Deloitte's Global Business Services study that was issued this year, and hope that everybody knows it already, that cost, efficiency, and process standardization, end-to-end process standardization are still the two most important factors and expectations from GBS organizations. Nevertheless, in the past 2 years, the importance of coming up with niche competencies, next-gen capabilities, that has become a very important expectation to this GBS, and also business continuity planning as well. And these large multifunctionals really like to put this kind of nurturing a new capability to their GBS organizations because they are very flexible, they are very good for talent, and that's what behind. So much easier to ask the GBS centers to, hey, here is AI, I don't know what to do with this. Go and build something up around it in the global ecosystem, right? So not only focusing on Hungary, but on their Indian centers or other centers. And that is actually a big facilitator for the companies.
Hungary is well positioned to become a regional hub for, as you are also envisioning it, for AI, automation, analytics. What do you see as the most promising area for growth for the next 5 years, especially based on the results that you uncovered?
All activities related to digitization are on the table now, right? Like not only AI automation, but data management, which is actually very much of a prerequisite for reaching any kind of benefits for AI deployment. Data analytics.
This is not so new. I mean, the past minimum 5 years, it was already continuously evolving and being part of the process.
That's sure, but what we can see is that this technological development and the advent of newer and newer technologies is really pacing up. It's accelerating, and we are just really looking here and there are new opportunities, new tools, new technologies. So actually, that's what makes it important to build up this kind of digital hubs to try to keep pace, because this kind of capability of keeping pace with this kind of changes is a very important competitive advantage for the company.
And there are good examples already, so regarding security, privacy, and also other kind of
actually there are GBS organizations here in Hungary where, for example, Global Automation Lead is sitting in Hungary or in this center in charge of not only the GBS but the whole supply chain and the whole organization, which is a very, very good practice. And also there is another GBS organization where there is like several hundreds of cybersecurity experts sitting in Hungary, which makes these centers eminence in the whole multinational network.
Yeah.
And this expertise knowledge is in the focus now. So there are certain areas which are completely new. So in IT development, technological, engineering side, data security was mentioned, so many, which are new. And some of these roles are newly created, especially in these hubs because of these advantages we were talking about. But at the same time, those ones that exist, legal, transfer price, taxation related stuff, those were existing value-add activities, by the way. But at the same time, they are changing with the work content, changing to the way where they can create more value and they need more expertise in the future. So this upskilling, reskilling is coming back here as well because the companies need to pay continuous efforts and always new things and put a lot of efforts, by the way, to maintain that. And of course, the talents need to keep up with the new knowledges.
How you see Hungary's competitiveness compared to our regional peers? For example, Poland, Romania, and the other countries.
Hungary was always a work absorber, always.
Yeah.
Still today. And we work on this to remain for a long time as a work absorber and a great supporter mainly for the region and globally to some extent. Earlier, the competitiveness was laying on purely, as we talked about, labor arbitrage. Still exists. But it's a big good combination with the cost, capabilities, skill set. And this is what we need to show on a right way to investors to sell the country on a really good way. And our competitiveness within the region, if we compare, it's given by different factors. Economic, political factors. It's about the proximity to the geographical areas where war and other difficulties happen. So this is really defining our position. But at the same time, we are really good friends with the Polish colleagues. But at the same time, we are in a competition.
In a competition.
So we need to handle it in really a right way, because our aim, and especially is the advocacy, let's say, advertisement about ABSL, what we do. ABSL is really pushing the investments to remain in Europe, to remain the absorber as it was before. However, how we change it to use the hubs, centralized and COE type of activities, the center of excellence, where we also create a really good value and good potential for colleagues in the future. But yes, we have competition with each other, and yes, Poland is is a bigger one. Size counts in this way as well, because the country is having big chapters. They have 1, 2, 3, 4 tiers, can absorb the work, even they have HQs. This is what we don't.
You mentioned the labor arbitrage, and how are we standing, like in terms of like being still competitive compared to other countries?
Well, we can see we are doing such comparisons very frequently, and what we can see that in with regards or compared to Poland and the Czech Republic, for example, we have a very significant advantage with regards to labor arbitrage, and even in certain areas compared to Romania, we do have labor arbitrage or better positioned labor fees here. But that's one thing. Of course, Sofia or Bulgaria, they are cheaper, or Albania, they are cheaper. I think what's important here that how we are positioning ourselves, because for sure we won't be able to compete with Poland with regards to the talent availability, because they are 4 times bigger, right? So they have large cities all around the country. That's a different country. But, and as far as I know, the Hungarian Investment Promotion Agency has also a strategic objective to bring in knowledge-intensive activities and industries and so on. And I think this is very important that we build everything around it that serves this goal. And I think there in certain areas we are very well positioned already with regards to the good talent and so on. On the other hand, because of this very quickly changing environment, there are quite a lot of soft skills that are getting more and more important. So I know that there are several business services organizations here in Hungary as well, who are not only looking at your technical skills when they are hiring, right? But they are looking at whether you are resilient, whether you are you're open to learn new things, or how quick you are to learn new things, how flexible you are, because these are those capabilities and that are very difficult to teach.
So still, like, the competitive position is there, also in regards of the knowledge and also the maturity of the industry, because of the past 20 years of experience, as you also referred to earlier, like a generation grew up in this industry. Yes. So the knowledge is very strongly here, but still there are certain challenges which we have to face in order to maintain this position or to really further sophisticate the talent pool which is on the market. And that leads us to certain challenges and risks which I think we have to touch upon. What systematic changes in education, immigration policy are needed to address it? Because these are, I think, the most major topics what we hear related to the industry.
Talent is our main asset. It was, and it is today, and it will be in the future as well. But there's a contradiction. We have a talent pool, a good talent base, but at the same time we see talent shortages. How does that come together? Why cannot we handle that on the right way? So these two can exist, unfortunately, at the same time, because even though there is a good talent pool, but the talent shortage exists in those expertise roles where we are looking for new talents, good talents, also foreign talents that can fulfill that kind of gap at those roles, what we are looking for, and that specific roles are something what we are shooting for. And all of them, mainly all of them, relate to those things that we talked about, value-add activities. Mm-hmm. Many of them are already in the hubs and mostly in the COE type of areas, because this is where they can gain more knowledge, they can build and give more value in their work. But at the same time, this comes together with talent mobility internationally as well, because this is what we see as an issue today. And this is really having an impact on the recruitment. And this is a challenge today, and not only for the recruiter companies. They also know that very well, but also the companies who want to hire people, and especially for those ones where they have, and all of them, mainly all of them, have people from third countries. And there is a discussion with the sector leaders, and also we created a statement about that, because the third country employees are also part of our life and part of our companies.
Yeah.
For simple reason, these specific roles, expertise type of roles are fulfilled for those people who can do the work. And if this is a person from a third country, then yes, we will hire those people. But if there are certain restrictions through the regulation, it's really difficult to reach out, and even we would like to widen the scope and reach out to STEM and non-STEM students. And if there is an example, there is a student from a third country finishing a university in Hungary, the person who was part of internship role at the company, so the person needs to go home and then require a new visa to come back to Hungary, if the person gets it or not. And this is not only an administrative type of thing, but also having a direct impact on operations. Because it means that many jobs are remaining open for a while, because the expertise, if not possible to find here, we cannot hire people from outside, or we can, but with more administrative load and difficulties. So that's why we created a recommendation already within the sector, how to distinguish blue collar, white collar. We have white collar for sure only, but how to handle that and how to approach that with the different aspects from immigration perspective, talent, and also having a blue card. I'm not going into the details. So how to make it easier for the companies to maintain that diversity what we always had in the past. And if we step back from an investor standpoint, if I was an investor and look at this, is not really attracting, because they want successful transitions, they want successful projects, and if they cannot see the successful end game, then they may change their views.
Just to add to what István said, and completely agree, but I believe this talent shortage is some kind of a structural talent shortage. So, for example, these companies need multilingual employees, or at least knowing at least one language very well. And if you look at our educational system, you can get a university or college degree without any language exam, which doesn't actually support this expectation of the GBS organizations. The other thing is that there are these soft skills as well, besides the language skills that are necessary, or the new digital skills. And if we cannot acquire it from the labor market, then these companies have two opportunities. Either they reskill and upskill their existing employees, right? Which they do, right? They invest quite a lot into that, but it's impossible to do for all expectations and requirements. Or they bring it from abroad. And we need to understand that there are languages which are spoken outside of the EU, right? So it's something that we need to bring in from outside the EU. And also we need to understand that if we cannot do that, if this is very painful for these companies, then the GBS leads will decide that, okay, then I put these roles into another country where I have a GBS, and they will not only bring that 5 roles, but they might bring the whole activity, because they say that, okay, then it's easier for me. So we actually are losing opportunity, and we are losing roles with this.
This directly leads us to the future, so looking into the future. And this conversation and the report calls for a stronger public-private partnership, definitely. What would be a successful collaboration when we look at government, academia, and business? And how could it look like in the future in order to overcome what you mentioned?
The aim of the report itself, because this is a report you can download, but the concept behind is about to create sector awareness on a first level to everybody. I mean, towards public, private decision makers, having a good understanding about those values, potential future, what this sector can create, and not talking only about the GDP we touched, is one, but also the strengths of this sector, which is sometimes I know and I hear, people say it's invisible, because if you would like to show it, you have a desk with an empty desk, sometimes with a home office. Well, this is, and how do they create value, right? So this is something where we start, but in the background, there is a value, but we need to show it on the right way. So for that one, a kind of cooperation like what you said is really crucial. First level, good understanding of the sector, and then creating a good sector branding, which is not only about discussion with the private and public decision makers, but also it's open, and we'd like to bring it over to talents, future potential talents, people who are part of the reskilling, job changers, and also to investors who need to have a really good understanding what the sector can provide to you, dear investor. So please come to this country. So these have a lot of aspect, and we had a workshop at Deloitte with the leaders of the sector, and what they concluded, many things, but I would like to emphasize is having a council, call it council, whatever. So having a body which is having a good cooperation and regular cadence with public decision makers would bring this forward, making sure the good awareness and the good knowledge about the state of business services is given. And at the same time, the same can be done together with the academia people. Because what we see today, there is a big gap between the educational system and what the employers' expectations in a real world is. So in order to make this gap shorter, so narrow down, this is really, really important for us. So this is a kind of cooperation what we would like to drive in the future together.
What we can see here with these public-private partnerships, that there are some, and mostly on the initiative of the BSc organizations who are driving university lectures, for example, or trying to reach out to municipalities or the government. But what we as well discussed at this workshop, that I think the real strength would be if there would be a common central platform for this, supported heavily by ABSL, which might serve it as one, and really trying to channel all these pilot initiatives into one big initiative and give it a real strength.
Yeah. And when we look ahead toward 2030, what would success look like for Hungary's business services ecosystem?
For me, the success is definitely to improve and increase the number of investors coming to Hungary, creating more value-add activities and more people within the sector. So far, this is the expectation, or at least the optimistic scenario.
For me, a growing sector for sure, but also proving that we are capable of fostering digital capabilities, or even new technologies, or even not technologies, but highly sophisticated tasks here.
The more the sector is capable of positioning, as you also mentioned, as a Central Eastern European hub for digitalization value-add services, and the more GBS leaders will take the advantage of moving more competencies to their centers as well. So this is kind of like, like pulling the string, but after that, taking advantage of the results as well. Before we conclude, quick shots, and then after that, the takeaway. So how do you see, what's the biggest opportunity in one word in the BSc sector?
Expertise.
Expertise.
I think so, yeah. Knowledge.
Knowledge. Most urgent challenge to fix right now?
Cooperation.
Cooperation.
More supportive regulations.
Supportive regulations. What regional competitor do you watch most closely?
Well, I always look at Poland.
Poland.
We are good friends, right? So we learn. I learn personally a lot from our friends, but at the same time we are competing with the same field. So definitely, Poland is well, keep an eye on. And actually, those areas that are really important and actual today. So Portugal, Spain coming up to the map again. Also Egypt is a really great location and going up quickly and quicker than we would expect.
And that wraps today's episode. If you could share one key takeaway from what we touched upon, what we discussed today, you hope that the leaders who listen to this conversation, what would be it?
It's on all of us, right? So we cannot do it only ABSL, even with consulting support, with anything, some leaders being there. I think it's on all of us to develop this sector, and not only the GBS leaders, but the government, as well the policymakers, and also the educational system. So we need cooperation.
Yeah.
Completely agree, and this is what ABSL can provide a free platform for that, making sure that these discussions can happen, and I really work on to happen in the future, and bring these stakeholders much closer and drive this kind of cooperation through the survey, what we've done together, and together with leaders who can give a good examples from the different companies, and we can show it to people on all sides of the economy and academia and everywhere, what good looks like and why it's really interesting and good to join the sector.
Yeah. Thank you so much. A big thank you for sharing these insights in today's episode. Eszter, István, I think you are pulling the sector in a really good direction, and we really hope that the listeners who tuned in today, they are taking these insights with them, and it's gonna flourish the sector even more further in the coming year. Thank you so much for joining our episode today and for tuning in. And don't forget, we are coming up with more and more inspiring topics, so stay with us and see you next time.